Oh, hello.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Hello, Jonathan. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. That name sounds like a pirate name, by the way. Jonathan Morgan, pirate of the high seas. I don't know. I think there was a Morgan, a Captain
Yeah,
Morgan pirate.
yeah.
Pirate, yeah. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. How
I
are you, man?
just
How
wanted
are
to say,
you?
oh, I'm doing good.
Glad you reached
How
out.
are you?
I'm very well. I'm always well, man. I'm always well. I'm always
Yeah,
well. Brilliant. I'm glad you connected. So I was actually listening to something about advertising and connecting and speaking to one of the participants who does private web design and all this. And
yeah.
I was telling, I always like to know how people connect to me. Like if they searched, what search terms did they hear, and how did they connect to me? I don't really do much advertising. I do very, very little actually.
Yeah.
That's why I'm very curious how you came to reach out to me.
Um,
Was it from the Facebook
I
the group
originally
post?
I connected with Share Underwood, and I got connected to the self awareness, self improvement group, and then I added you from there.
Brilliant, brilliant. So did you see my post that I made about the way of impeccability?
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. And who did you connect with? You said Underwood?
Share Underwood.
Oh, sure, Unbound. I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Unbound, that's what it is. Sorry, I got the name wrong.
Unbound. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, yeah. She did the program. She did a follow-up program
Yeah,
as well, extension. So that's great. Yes. And she's doing one currently as well. So
yeah.
that's great. That's great. Yes. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So I am keen. So first of all, why I don't do advertising is because my program's not a commodity. I don't sell it like a typical program. You go and you do it, and
Yeah.
the program is very interactive. So it's I do this with you. So there is a connectivity, and it's a big investment for me. So that's why I don't put the price out there or advertise it, because hey, I need to know who you are, because we're going to really be doing this for a long time together.
Yeah.
The minimum really is a 4 months. That we do this in. Typically, it takes a lot longer than that, but at least 4 months. It'd be very hard to do it in a shorter time. And, it's not something that you want to do as quickly as you can and get it done. It doesn't work that way. We go
No.
at the pace that's appropriate, right? So the
Yeah.
key issue is for me, is your sincerity of commitment. This I absolutely have to know, that you not only want self-change, but need self-change.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't mean need but I need from a spiritual point of view. For me, learning and growing is not something that's optional. I have to do it. It's my passion. It's important to me. My
Yeah.
my entire spirit and soul and everything about me yearns for this, has all my life. That's who I'm interested in. Somebody who's truly, truly passionate about this. It's really important too. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're not happy with, you don't need to put your video on. Truly, it's no problem for me. I'm quite happy either way. So if you're uncomfortable with video,
Okay.
not to worry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Truly, not.
No problem.
Yeah, I know sometimes people in the beginning are, as we get more familiar, obviously, it's nice to have it on, but it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Truly, it's not a worry. So, as long as you can stand watching me, that's the other side of it. All right. So just a little bit here. You'll see there's me, two of me, a new you, a new you. I use my phone for the audio and my desktop for the video, because I have very poor internet where I'm at. So I split the
Yeah.
two, and it gives me a greater connectivity. So it just eases the burden. All right. So I was saying that, in this interaction, this is a long-term interaction commitment. So it's very important to me that somebody is really earnest.
Yeah.
And just judging by your reaction, this is so for you, yes?
Yeah. It's I've worked on my mental health issues for like 16 years now. I've got like support work, and I always try to do the best I can to make progress, move forward, learn new things, new perspectives. Since I've been part of this group and the inner works, I found a lot of useful information that I just didn't know about, basically. So I've felt motivated about learning more, basically, and just having more tools available to myself to help me in my life, basically.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, let me just make one thing very clear. In the group, what I share and what is shared, it's maybe 1% of what you're going to come into contact with in the program. It's not really possible for me to share in the group what I do in the program. It's too in-depth, it's too layered, it's too sophisticated. The program is phenomenally sophisticated. Now, sometimes that can put people off because we go through it step by step, incrementally. And the key part of this, I don't teach. I'll let that sink in a bit. I'm no teacher and I don't teach. Right? People say, what am I doing the program with you for? This is a good question. This is a very good question. I share. There is content, but the chief magic of the program is the way it's set up. It's how you do the program. There are, particular things that are very different in the way you do the program. So essentially what I do is I help you and assist you to connect you to what's important to you according to you, right? Yeah. So I'm just a facilitator. I help you uncover. I make the obvious obvious. That's one of my chief tasks, and one of my real expert skills is making the obvious obvious. And you say, well, what do I need to know the obvious for? I say, Jonathan, wait a second. The obvious is only obvious once it's obvious, but typically it wasn't obvious that moment before it became obvious, right?
Yeah, I've been learning that a lot recently.
Exactly. So this is what I do. In other words, I share something and you're like, oh, wow. Well, duh. It's like, shit, oh, wow. Okay, but you know what? Now, and then suddenly like all that stuff falls into place. And right there in that moment, just through one thing, your whole life can change sometimes. The whole life can change. And it just takes that little do. But that's my task, is to connect you to those things. And you decide, not me, you decide on how powerful and how magical this is. Now, I will share plenty tools which assist with self-change and life change. Really powerful, magical tools. But here's the key. I can show you the tool and assist you in training and learning the tool and practicing how to use it, but you got to go and build your own house, yes?
Yeah.
And this is absolutely critical. I cannot emphasize this enough. And this is a problem with many life change and self-change programs. You go and basically what you are doing is you buying into somebody else's ideology or philosophy, their teachings. And to me, this is not ideal. It's actually detrimental and self-destructive because you end up living somebody else's life. That might work for a while, but eventually it's going to implode because it's not yours. Right. So the ethics and the integrity, this is our entire program. So it's called WOI Impeccability, of course. It's focused on this. There's more to the WOI Impeccability name. It's all about energy management and all sorts of magical things. But just magical in the sense of being wonderful and transformative and useful, like tools. All tools are for me very magical. I love tools. They're great, So we do things very, very differently. So I just want to make sure that you understand where we're at. That's why I'm always keen to talk to people first, because it's important. It's important. And all right. So the other thing that I do require, obviously, is honesty. And you say, well, but what I require even more than that. I require self-honesty. That's tough. That's tough, right? Yes, I understand in your day-to-day life, in your interactions with others, honesty and self-honesty isn't always available. This I am aware of. So I'm not expecting a radical change. But in our sessions, in our interactions, anything is up for grab. Nothing is hidden. Sometimes it may be difficult, it may be uncomfortable, it may be painful. But you can say and share and be anything, right? So this is a very key point. The no holds barred, in other words, right? So, some people are very reluctant to share on that level. I don't expect it immediately, but at least that there's the intent to do that. Because I have no secrets. That's it. Me personally. Now, I understand some things are sensitive and that's not a problem, but at least there must be the willingness and the intent to go there eventually. We may get there gently and, plenty times we have to pull out that virtual box of Kleenex over here, but hey, we deal with it. We go with it. It's not the problem, and so emotion and being emotional and emoting is very much part of it. It's a big deal. the big deal. So all I'm saying is that, you know, this willingness to share fully, in other words. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Not immediately, obviously, but that's a key point. That's a key point, because sometimes people they come into these programs and they are looking for a justification for their indulgences. This I cannot do. I can't help you there. If that's what you're after, I can't help you. I'm not getting this from you. I'm just saying I've had that, you know, and they don't even get started on the program because they realize this is for them. They're not going to get somebody who's going to say, oh, poor baby, you poor thing, you know, you were traumatized, you were such a victim in your life and all this stuff. No, sorry, we aren't going to do that. You know, we'll help you to get over this and deal with it and remedy it and find some remedy and solution and a replacement especially. And this is the other thing that we do that is phenomenally different. We don't fix problems. Yeah. You say, wait a minute, I got a whole long list of problems. What do you mean we are going to fix my problems? That's no good. I say for dramatic effect, right? Because it's like if you have children and you teach them not to steal, they can be very obedient and really good children and they don't steal. Does that necessarily make them kind and generous and considerate or thoughtful or aware or patient or disciplined? Just not stealing, right?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But teach your kids to be kind and generous and considerate and thoughtful and aware and sensitive and understand implications and ethical and impeccable. How on earth are they possibly going to steal or do any other crap nonsense, right? Not possible. This is the magic and the power of what we do. We focus on the replacement, particularly replacements that automatically take care of the problem. It's a very profound philosophy. It's a majorly profound strategy. I cannot emphasize how huge this is. You mentioned you had, you know, you were dealing with things. Unfortunately, many of the methodologies out there, like psychotherapy, it's classically focused on problem fixing. Now, if you understand the way the brain works, all about emphasis and how emphasis works, the moment you start emphasizing on a problem, whatever you emphasize on, literally inside the brain, it rewires your brain. How does it do that? It does it by enlarging the nodes. When a node enlarges in your brain, it connects more to more other nodes, to multiple more nodes, and those nodes get expanded and they connect them. In other words, emphasis makes you more connected. It makes you remember more, makes it more intense, more alive. So if you focus on your programs, suddenly you're immersed into a world of problem. And this is what happens in psychotherapy. People get focused on the problems and they end up in a world of problems, and that's why they stay there for decades. So it is. It blew me away. Even as a teenager already, I understood this absolute just horror of it. And I said, man, you guys are psychologists. Surely you should know better. But no, it's a peculiar mechanism, right? So we transcend that a little bit here, and it's a very big deal. And I, obviously some of the participants, and you can get to speak to them. They'll be more than happy to chat to you. They will tell you, I was in therapy and I was in the program for a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, and said, thank you, therapist, no more. Right? So it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. So we are very sophisticated. Like I say, we don't mess about, you know. I mean, it's me mainly, but still, I like to say we because all the participants feel like they are part of the program. And they are. The program is a living program. You'll see as you go through the content, you'll see quotes by the participants, and it's a living thing. It evolves, it grows. I do this with you. That's why I say we. I just include all of the other participants. Look at Sher now. See, I'm including Sher when I say we. It's very cool. It's very cool. It's very cool. I'm trying to say what else is involved. Okay. So the other thing that is involved is a time commitment, right? So we are looking at probably at least 10 hours a week, right? In total. Four of those hours is coming on to Zoom twice a week for a Zoom session, and the Zoom sessions are 2 hours long. I find this hour session or 45 minutes, no, sorry, that's just a waste of time. You know, you're barely getting started, you're barely getting comfortable, you're barely getting immersed, and stuff is barely starting. Oh, time's up. Well, what a recipe, just keep cycling on the same thing, because next time you have to start all over again, pretty much, right? So that's to me, it's a bit unethical, you know. Yes, I know 2 hours is a lot sometimes for people, but sometimes people say, okay, you know, we finish a little early and off they go. But typically those 2 hours aren't even close to enough, but still, at least you get something done, and that's important. We are all about resolution.
Yeah, about to say at the moment I've got a lot of spare time,
Okay.
so I'm fully
Okay.
committed to time. I work with the Inner Works group, and they do 2 Zoom meetings a week as well. I'm just wondering, are they on
Okay.
the same days or is it different days?
Inner Works, is that Sher's group?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. All right. So it doesn't matter, because this is not necessarily related to the Facebook group. This will be you and me one-on-one on Zoom like we are now. So
yeah.
it doesn't matter whose other stuff is doing what, as long as we can find the time where we overlap. Are you from the accent? I'm assuming you're not on US time, or are you like me with
No,
11?
UK time.
Brilliant, brilliant. That actually is a good thing, because my timetable is actually a bit closer to UK or European time. I go to
Yeah,
sleep in my afternoon, in other words, and I wake up late at night or very early morning. So I'm
yeah,
closer to your time than US time, even though I'm in the US. So that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, that's great. So I'm
yeah,
just saying that, because the way the program works is I'll give you access to the content online, and then you go through the online content, and then there's particular things you'll do. I'll explain it all in detail. Should we get going? And that takes some time, because it's not just
yeah,
reading it or listening to it. No, no, no. We are a bit more sophisticated than that. We also really, I mean, for me, one of my absolute expertise lies in understanding how we learn and what makes learning stick. Because I've been obsessed with this. Well, okay, obsessed is maybe a bit strong word, but I've been intensely immersed in this my entire life, since age 10.
yeah,
Learning, growing, and making sure the learning and growing sticks and lasts. This is important. So the program is set up to have the learning stick and last automatically, right? So I kind of call it inadvertent learning, not this
yeah,
learning of memory. And that doesn't really work, and we want to jump on bypass. We'll get into all of this, So, one of the side effects of the program is you're going to get an education in psychology, just kind of in a by the by, because it's important. One of the things we
yeah.
do want to be is learn to
It was,
be masters of our own psychology, right?
yeah. I mean, I will say when I've started both these groups, it's something I really enjoy doing is having
Oh, good.
conversations back and forth with people that I kind of feel comfortable
Good.
with, to
Good.
get their perspectives, to get new ideas, and just kind of like flow through questions with people. It's
Fantastic.
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah,
Fantastic. The reason I set up the group is to provide community. The original intent was it was just for the participants of the program, but
yeah,
they got so into the program, and they for the most part they had lives of their own, so they never got to have the time to participate in the group, because them doing the content and then coming onto Zoom, this sucked up all their free time. But
yeah,
if you do have extra time, I'll go into it with you. The group can become a ridiculously powerful extra leveraging mechanism in terms of
yeah,
you sharing your journey in the group. I'll explain exactly. There's sort of a bit of a formula to it, or not a formula, but a methodology that can massively enhance this process, right? So you can
yeah,
really use the group to get massive, massive extra value out of it. So I'll explain if we want to go into it. All right. So your key question, I'm not avoiding your key question. I really do need to set up what I'm doing. I cannot
yeah,
give you a price without you understanding what's involved, right? So, I mean,
yeah,
to me, I don't feel ethical to say, okay, this is how much it is. And then how do you evaluate it if you don't know what's involved, right? And
yeah,
as it is, even as much as I've shared with you, it's still a fraction of what's going on. Truly, I cannot, you can ask all the participants, they'll tell you, your mind can't really grasp until you're in it how much more there is. I mean, we have a fabulous saying, always, there's always more. And you'll hear
yeah,
this over and over again, because it's so true. It is absolutely so true. So the program is a minimum over 4 months, with the twice a week, the 2 hours or 4 hours a week, and then you have access to the content and you do all that. And for the first 4 months, it's 6,300. Right? So I don't know what that works out to per week, whatever that is. So you can do the math. So, and then after that, should it go longer, it goes to 1,000 a month. So I don't know where this is if we go longer, which, okay, this is a high probability, likely, depends on you, but still, I just want to let you know where it's at. It's not an inexpensive program, but on the other hand, some people tell me, well, it is actually when you consider what's involved. So the reason I do it this way, Jonathan, is because I feel if you are really wanting true transformation, there needs to be an immersion, and there needs to be kind of a mass of stuff to make for that shift. There needs to be enough time and energy and effort involved that there's this big investment that leads to a full immersion, and through that immersion, that life change sticks, right? This is the biggest problem with most programs, especially when you're just taking it a little bit and there's no interaction. There's not enough immersion into a new lifestyle, new way of living, a new community for the changes to stick and last. So I don't know if this is within your reach or your capabilities or not, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I literally wouldn't be able to afford. I'd have to save up for about 3 years to pay for it. Unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let me ask you this, Jonathan. I'm not inflexible, right? And I do like to work with somebody who is keen and in earnest. Now, since you said you had lots of time, I'm assuming you're not particularly working right now, yes?
I do volunteer work at my local kennels, but that's Monday to Friday, and I get there at 2 o'clock and finish it at 5.
Gotcha. But I mean, it's not an income-producing thing, yeah?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of your income, is it something like unemployment or something like that?
Yeah,
what I'm trying to ask you. Say again?
Sorry, I get disability benefits at the moment.
Okay. All right. That's what I was trying to ask. At least if there is some source of income. All right. So depending on where you are at, I might be able to work with you, but only if you do have the ability to put something aside for this, right? So, otherwise, let's put it this way. I am doing it for somebody now at $600 a month. If that's within your means, I'm still prepared to do it simply because of the nature of your circumstances, right? I will make exceptions. Actually, I have more exceptions than the rule. But hey, when I find somebody who is earnest and who I do feel that I can relate and connect to, I'm willing to make an effort. Let me put it that way. But it's very important, Jonathan. I want to make sure that this is something that, now I don't mind if it puts you in a bit of a sacrifice and you have to give up your bagels or whatever your luxury is or something. That's cool. Because, if you're committed and you invested, that's very powerful leverage. But I also don't want you to be in a situation where you're going to be compromising your ability to sustain yourself. Yeah.
My income right now is £1,100 a month. After I pay my bills and food, I have around about £300 a month left.
Okay, so £300 is how much in dollars?
I think it's about $450 a month.
Oh, let's Google it real quick. I generally am not a great fan of this money stuff. Let's see, pounds to dollars. But I unfortunately, this is my livelihood. And I've made so many compromises and commitments that I'm a bit pressed myself, to tell you. So, okay, it's $1.40. So what did you say it was?
I guess about 450.
So
300.
420 actually, I think, to be exact. Yeah. Convert pounds to dollars. All right. I just want to be sure exactly. Sometimes these conversions they can get tricky. So, but if it's $1.40, it will be So, gosh, where's the converter here? Blah. Okay, let me have a look at one more thing before I decide on it's a little tough for me. It's just man, I'm a little close, but all right, come on now, come on Google. Oh, I see. All right. 300. Okay. So it comes to 406. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought you guys had a stronger pound right now.
No.
All right. All right. Before we go any further, let me check with just in terms of our timing, because I don't have or I don't have a great range of time that is available, but I think we should be able to fit in the time slots. All right, so hold on 1 second here. I'm just where did my calendar go now? Here we go. There's many ways to pay for things, so I may ask you to that's actually an idea. I always like to think of alternatives. You can make up for it in helping me moderate or admin the group. It's a lot easier than it sounds. You'll probably actually you're already in the group all the time, so you'll probably get a kick out of it and actually be quite useful. So we can do that, and we can work out something on that. So all right. So while I wait for my calendar here, so let's look at this, to make up, because then actually now it would balance out a little bit, because I am keen to get another. I've only got spots for 2 more clients, so I am keen for 4 more clients, but I do kind of need a client that's pretty much a full-paying client. It's a bit of a pressure on me, but all right. If you can help me with the group, then that would be a good thing. I mean, mostly what it involves in terms of group moderation would be to, just delete or remove posts that are obvious advertising or a link or a completely irrelevant post. You'll see sometimes these people post those animal videos or whatever. It's simple stuff. I'll walk you through it. And since
I'm a moderator. I'm a moderator on the self-love reminder group, so I've got some experience moderating now.
All right, there you go. But I mean, I'll go through it all with you in particular, because I have particular things in the group, and we do allow, don't allow stuff. It's not complicated. All right, so that just means that you come on and pretty much you're online every day, I'm assuming, and as you scroll through the group, you see and I'll show you what's involved. So it'll probably take at least like probably 2 hours in total, not in one go, but over the totality of the day, which likely you spend anyway, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. But I'm just saying, it can be a bit of a slow thing sometimes. Now I do this anyway as well, so it won't be as much as it would be if it was only all right. So where was I'm trying to get my calendar going here. My internet technology has been very peculiar for the last day or two. It's just been disastrous. They're working on the local Wi-Fi here, so it's just not been fun. Been very slow. Okay, so it's now nicely just past 12 for me, so we'll just pretend it's 12 o'clock. So that means it is 7 in the evening for you now, right?
8:15.
So you're 8 hours different to me then. Okay, not 7. Okay. Okay, I'm UTC -7, but I guess right now I'm UTC -8 then. All right. So it's 8. Yeah, it's 8:15 in the evening for you. Okay. So if we look at this, then the time slots that I have open, I'll screen share with you. Okay. So obviously the open slots here. So let's just take this one on Wednesday. So this would be 4 o'clock. So this would be 12 o'clock midday for you.
Yeah.
And then I have, again, so 12 midday. This would be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then these would be 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? I can do it here as well. All right. So, and then I can go a little earlier on these days, which would be at 10 o'clock in the morning, your time, any of these 4 slots here. All right. So, if that works for you, then we can do that. Any of these times. I mean, I don't know which is preferable for you. You said you do, volunteering. It's kind of in the middle of your day.
Yeah. When I start my day, I've got to get up at 9 o'clock. Then I go to see the staff. I get my breakfast. I do my staff meeting at 12 o'clock. Then we go over my day at 1 o'clock and just fix anything I need to do, like pay my bills or whatever else I need to do. At 2 o'clock, I usually have another meeting before I go to my volunteer work, and then I get back about 5 o'clock in the afternoon normally. So anytime after 5.
So you only get back at 5 in the afternoon. All right. All right. So so either before 9 o'clock in the morning, which is kind of a bit tricky for you. Yeah. So your day is pretty full then, yeah?
Yeah. Nighttime's better though. And the weekends is completely free as well.
Yeah. All right. So let's just see here. 10, this would be at, we can do, I mean, if we look at these slots here, these are at 4 o'clock your time in the afternoon. That's still too early, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But we can do like here, which this is at 8 o'clock your time.
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah.
Okay. And then we can do like on I'm a little reluctant to do later because that would be then at 10 o'clock your time, if I do it in the slot after this. But I could probably ask Kay to move a little earlier on this day. And she's been there before, and I don't think it'll be a big problem. But in the meantime, is 10 o'clock too late?
No. I with the inner works group, their meetings at 2 a.m. So I don't
gotcha. Okay. So then we can do it here in this slot, and then I like to have a little bit of time in between. Either on the Thursday or actually on the, this isn't, this is better because this is actually only an hour long. Hold on, let me edit this quickly. So Friday, that would be a good time. That would work for me then too. So then we would do it at 8 o'clock on Monday and 9 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah, that would work.
I'll put it in here in a moment. Let me just, where is this now? For some reason, these things are very small today and I'm struggling to see what I'm doing here. Where's the time? All right, I got another way to do this. Just do that. There we go. Because this is only an hour. So, all right, so we can do right here. And we can do Jonathan, W-O-I. Did I spell that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, and then this would be 10 to 12, 2 hours, and it does repeat weekly on Monday. All right, so we got you in there, and then we put you in on Friday. So it's a little unusual, normally my things go in 2 blocks. I don't often have 1 hour sessions, but it's kind of a bonus one for Erica. Erica's been with me for a long time. Her mom does it. This is a session, joint one once a week with her husband.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. She's awesome. You'll get to meet them all by and by.
Yeah.
Especially when there's overlap like that, it's very cool. So yeah, Kay is her mom too. So very cool. All right. So this is 11 to 1. Sorry, I always do this stuff, right now and do it together. That it's important stuff. So we make sure we're on the same page. All right. So Mondays at 8 p.m. your time, and then on Friday at 9 p.m. your time. All right. Very cool. Okay. So next thing I need from you is put it into Facebook in the chat. There is your email address.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. because I need that to sign you up for the program. And then I'll send you a link to it when I've got you signed up, and you'll have your username is your email address, and you'll have a password, and then that's where you log in, and that's where you actually do the online portion of the content. All right. So and that's going to look like I'll show you.
So do you want me to send it through Messenger to you?
Yeah, through Facebook Messenger. Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
No problem.
I have it there because the Zoom chat, it goes away once we close down Zoom. So it's the only reason why I do that. So. All right. So, so when you go to the program, if you make it full screen at any rate, the program is going to look like this. It's in slide format, right? So you click and then you do the next slide, and then you get so that's really key. And this is again something that we do differently. You're not just reading stuff, and you're not just listening to stuff. Because the reason I like to do the slides is because you go at your own pace, and there's a big reason for this. And this is how to do the program. Now it is in the introduction, but I'm going to explain it again. So there's kind of 4 things that you sort of that are absolutely necessary and required to do, and I'll explain all of them in turn now. And the first one is to do a repeat back on a slide by slide basis. All right. So when I mean a repeat back, okay, obviously on this slide it's just the title, and you're just going to say. But a repeat back is when there is content, you'll go through it all, and then you'll say. You'll come back when we're on Zoom, and you'll write it down, you'll repeat back. But you're going to tell me in your own words what you understood the slide to mean and say, right? Now this is regardless of whether or not you agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. It is simply to make sure that you and I are speaking the same language and that we're on the same page, right? And so it's one of the reasons. There's a bunch of good reasons to it. When you articulate something that in your own words, you have to in some way or another own the content. It doesn't mean that you're going to live by it or subscribe it becomes your belief, but you know it now and you can explain it to somebody else because it's in your own words, right? So this is already step 1 towards actually connecting and integrating to something. I've seen this many times. You see somebody, they read the content and you say, okay, what do you think? You understand? Yes. And then you hear them explain it to somebody else. It's like, what? No, that's not what it said, right? I mean, you probably know this from when you were kids, right? Or if you've ever dealt with kids, you tell them something and you hear them go and tell it to their mate, and it's like, that's not bloody hell what I said. Where do you come on that, right? So we want to make sure that the comprehension is actually as intended. This is absolutely key. But the other benefits are, when you come and do this repeat back, you get the opportunity to practice expressing yourself, to expressing what's inside you. This is invaluable. This is absolutely invaluable. So one of the side benefits is a massive increase in the ability to express oneself, because the Zoom sessions are practice sessions, capital P practice. We'll go into it a lot. The idea is that we get to practice, we get to be awkward, we get to be uncomfortable, we get to test and explore, we get to push our boundaries, we get to see what works and what doesn't work, what doesn't work. So when you come and express yourself and it comes out, you say, wow, when I had it in my head, it sounded so wonderful, but now that I say it, not so much. Let me try that again. Well, I can do better. Donna, you'll meet Donna. Boy, she's always saying, I can do better. And she re-expresses it. So this is a very, very, very powerful mechanism for connecting you to you, and particularly for connecting you to owning yourself. If you don't own yourself, you can forget about being a real person. Yes? Yeah. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is the repeat back. It's in the introduction. So, I mean, absolutely make notes, because as we go along, taking notes, absolutely integral. I recommend you get either a special file or a notebook, and I'll go into about how to make the notes in a moment. Right. So the second thing you're going to do is, after you've done your repeat back, is to do a takeaway. And the takeaway is very particular. It is, you're going to look at this slide and say, what am I taking away from this? Now, if I go to any seminar or any event, or I read a page in a book, or anything I do, I always do a takeaway. I'm saying, what did I get out of this that's useful and valuable to me?
Yeah.
Yes. Because if I don't do that, I say, wow, that was fantastic. That was huge. And what happens tomorrow? Somebody asks you, how did you like the conference? Oh, it was fantastic. What did you learn? Right?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. So in other words, realizations are dime a dozen. And I love to use the example of memes, right? There are a trillion memes. I know I've seen a trillion by now on the internet, and they are fantastic. The wisdom memes, right? All sorts of really good, life-changing, fantastically marvelous quotes and advice, and also insights, whatever, right? But how much have they really changed people? I mean, I have a friend, a Facebook friend, who literally does nonstop, just posts memes and shares memes to her various pages and things, right? But she's still the
Yeah.
same person as when I knew her, right? It made no difference in her life. She thinks it's going to, because each time she sees the memes, oh, that's profound. But there's no takeaway of use and value. And particularly the thing that we emphasize the most in this program is without application, it's all meaningless, right? So that takeaway is what you're going to take away with you to actually use and apply in your life. Yeah. This is what our focus is. Absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. All right. So that's two things. Repeat back the takeaway. Now, there's an actual session early on that we go into detail about the takeaways, a couple of different takeaways. So not only do you want to take away the extraction of value and usefulness, but also as you're going through the slide, let's say something bubbles up on you and it's some memory, and it's like, oh wow, I remember when I was in that park way back in whenever. And it's like, wow, where did this memory come from? Write it down, write it down, write it down immediately. Those are like associative takeaways, or just things that come up in you, right? Come up takeaway. Absolutely make a note of it. That stuff is always relevant, always. You might not see how.
Yeah.
You say, I can't see how this is connected, but boy, oh boy, it's always connected. And do this throughout the day as well. If something bubbles up in you, go make a note of it right away, because they're kind of like dreams. If you don't make a note of it, it's gone. Right? Just know that for sure you're not going to remember it. Same like dreams. So, and be diligent on this. This is a very big deal. Those are always gold mines of more. Yeah. And we really love more, capital M more. It's a big deal. All right. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to do, like say if you do a notebook, what I recommend is you can either do it session by session, do repeat back takeaway, or you can separate them out. But at the back of your notebook, or have a separate file that you call Jonathan's Dictionary of Power, right? I'll explain what this means, right? So the Dictionary of Power, maybe Shir has spoken about it. It is where you are going to put the power conceptions in. For instance, this slide right here has got 4 of them, right? It's got intent, it's got appropriateness, it's got clarity of intent, and focus of purpose, okay? So clarity of intent, it's interesting that I don't have it hyphenated. Usually there's an oversight here. So that's old slides. So I will fix that in a second. Anyway, so you want to put in all these power conceptions, and they're conceptions, they aren't words, right? So something like clarity of intent, you will hear clarity of intent being used over and over and over again, very consistently. Clarity of intent is a massively powerful conception. Without clarity of intent, everything changes. If you know exactly what you want to do, and we'll get into what intent is, how intent works, what it is, or we'll get into all of the stuff in detail. But I just want to make a point about why we are using it, and why they are conceptions rather than words, and why they are power. Just take clarity of intent. When you come into something and you know precisely why you are doing it now, and not only why you are doing it, but it's an intent, which means it's important to you. You really mean to do this, right? When you know, you're so clear about what it is that you want and why you're doing it, you're passionate about it, and anything that helps you acquire your intent is suddenly pertinent and relevant to you, right? You notice that, oh, that's going to help me, and it's more emphasized, it gets taken in. So when we have clarity of intent, anything that's relevant to that is now emphasized and leveraged, and it takes on this magical potency of pertinence and relevance. In other words, it leads to a greater emphasis inside your brain. Those nodes expand, you remember it more, you connect it more. It literally rewires your brain. So to leverage pertinence and relevance, we need to have clarity of intent, right? Do you see why it's a conception of power? When you understand this and we use it, I mean, this is an appropriateness. Appropriateness is a whole philosophy. This whole program is built on the philosophy of appropriateness. And intent is a magical thing too, when we really understand what it is. And of course, focus of purpose, this is a magical thing to have in life, no? Yeah. So I'm trying to make a point as you go through the slides. And as you go through the Zoom sessions, you're going to take lots of notes in the Zoom sessions. Go over your notes and pull out the conceptions of power. You add them to your dictionary of power. And then as you go through it, it's not just the conception. You will add your own extended explanations. And over time, you'll keep adding to those, keep adding to those. It's a dictionary, right? But it's a very, very, very sophisticated dictionary. This is going to be, this dictionary of power, why it's called power, it's going to be the foundation stone of you as a person. That's why it's your dictionary of power. Yes, you're going to put in these terms coming from the program, but you're going to put your own terms in there as well. And when you put in something like these, over time, they're only going to stay in there once you own them and you understand fully what they mean and what they represent. You're going to claim them, you're going to own them, you're going to make them your own. So these conceptions become the foundation stones of you, of the moreness you that we are looking to connect you to, the real you, in other words, right? I mean, the you that you are looking to change, this is not the real you, yes?
Yeah, definitely.
It's not. It's a bullshit you. It's somebody else's idea of you. It's nonsense you that you've learned through conditioning and assimilation and just picking it up from here, there, and everywhere, and all sorts of reasons for not being you. We are going to connect you. I'm just the facilitator. I'm just the mechanism, the catalyst, really, right? That enables you to connect to real you. So the dictionary of power is absolutely critical and essential. Now, the last part of the fourth task, the fourth thing to do is the task and exercises. At the end of each session, there are some tasks and exercises, and those are obviously very important to do as well. Now, you can usually just, when you write it out and after, you can just add that to your takeaway file or to the end of it, where you've done repeat back and a takeaway slide by slide. At the end of all that, you can put tasks and exercises, and then, have it categorized per session, if you like. It's up to you how you want to organize your notes, but do spend some time thinking about how you want to organize your notes. It is important because you will be going back to those notes, and they're a treasure trove. Truly, 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 they are a magical treasure trove. I mean, Sher's book came out of the notes, at least initially, right? She was writing a lot, and I urged her very strongly to write a book about, all, and use a lot of stuff from the sessions and our notes, and to start writing deliberately. And we really encourage this, and that's actually to start on a book. So it's very powerful, and I would really recommend this to anybody. Really, at the end, you've got so much material. Just put it together, and you've got a book about your journey of learning, right? And when we see somebody's journey, this is very powerful. So all these notes too, you can make posts out of them. It's a profound thing. It's a really big deal. So be sure to be organized. Now, do you take notes by hand or on the keyboard?
Usually by hand.
Okay.
I do at the moment. I do journaling, and I've got a mood diary and a sleep diary and a food diary that I've got to do every day. Okay, brilliant. So absolutely, the repeat backs, the takeaways, and then the dictionary of power, they are a profound journaling. You'll see what I mean. They are absolutely magical things. So treat it very much like a journaling. Absolutely. Yeah. And now, if you do it by hand, I absolutely recommend you also get into the habit of typing it into the computer. Yeah, it does seem like extra work, but I cannot recommend highly enough how valuable this is. First of all, when you do it by hand, there is a particular emphasis in the brain. So it is really cool if you do handwritten notes. But then when you put it in the computer, you get to edit it. And Sher probably told you, I told her, rule number one of writing, I have a separate writing course somewhere. Rule number one of writing is write ugly, edit pretty. That's it. That's all you need to know. Write ugly, edit pretty. In other words, the idea is don't try and write perfectly. That's what writer's block is. You're trying to write perfectly. Forget it. When you write ugly, you're free to write anything.
your brain automatically will start to improve and upgrade stuff, but you are allowing things to flow. You're getting things from your right brain, which is a creative brain. It's not worried about grammar and spelling and punctuation. It couldn't get two hoots about that. You need to let the stuff out. So when you're writing and taking notes, you just taking notes to get the information there. When you now transcribe it in the computer, you clean it up, you tidy it up, you organize it. And now also this has the extra benefit of that double emphasis, right? Because you really want the stuff to settle inside you. So if you do that, you will thank yourself. I cannot absolutely emphasize how much later you will thank yourself. It is a profound value to have the notes both written and typed. But again, it's not required, but still it's useful. And the one thing I do absolutely recommend is just figure out some way to organize your notes. You know, like, okay, you're going to say module 1, session 1, and you know the name of the session, which in this case is clarity of intent, focus of purpose, and there we go. Okay, you know, so slide number 1, or you know, we'll start probably on slide number 3, I think in this case, yeah. So when you start, you know, slide number 3, and you say feedback, takeaway, you know, DA, and then you know, in a separate place to your dictionary of power, you know where you at, and you could come back to it. You're going to be astounded when you later on come back, and part of the program is right at the very end, we do look back around how much power you are going to get when you come back to this. Most of the participants end up going over the programs, the content multiple times and in notes, because when they come back, when they expect to shift, when their mindset is different, when their awareness is greatly in a different place, and they're seeing things from this overview perspective, and depth and insight and awareness and discernment, they go, wow, I didn't get that the first time. It's like, and they always get more out of it, right? So this absolute, make an effort a little bit to just kind of think about it, how you want to make sure to organize your notes and do your notes, because they are a treasure trove for you. They are going to be a truly incredibly valuable source for you. Yeah. So other than that, that's it. You know, just come on, and there's going to be, all right. So let me make a few disclaimers here, right? I want to just say ahead of time, this program is very intense and it's very powerful, and it can easily be overwhelming. Yes, and it happens. I mean, some of the participants will tell you, you know, I thought I knew what was going on in the world, and you know, after a month into the program, I suddenly realized, oh man, I'm such an nincompoop, and they experienced worldview collapse. Yeah, and they were quite depressed. Be aware that this could happen. All right, it's part of the deal. It's like I said, we are going to connect you to a world of moreness. And now that I've been making, in the beginning, I didn't really put out this disclaimer because, hey, you know, we're into learning and all that. So, all right. So then the participants told me, look, you got to warn people a little bit that this can be a bit overwhelming. You know, you take it for granted because this is, you know, you live with this your life. All right. So I do make this effort to be aware. But once you know about it, you can be prepared for it a little bit. So don't feel that you are less because you suddenly come into contact with more. You get my logic?
Yeah, I would say I definitely understand that. I know, just not I haven't participated in any courses, but just from the post, I've learned new stuff every day. So I wouldn't look at it as a disappointment. I'd look at it as a new learning.
Right. I mean, one thing you'll hear say regularly, all the participants, we're all blinking nincompoops, or they love the word nincompoop. Now, you being in England, you know about the word nincompoop, but Americans, they don't know this word. It's a new word for nincompoopery. Oh my God, it's like one of the favorite words. They just love the word nincompoopry. But that's it, you know, and we celebrate our nincompoopness. At the same time, we use it to leverage our humility. We know, relative to the universe, relative to what we could be, we are all freaking nincompoops, and we're just going to be real with this, right? So we don't get hung up in the fact that, wow, I suddenly realized I thought I knew a little, but man, you know, now suddenly I realize, you know, 1% of 100 is what percent of a trillion? It's like 0.0001% of a trillion, right? So the more we know, the smaller the percentage becomes relative to what we know there is to know of what we actually know. And that can be a bit devastating for some people sometimes. So just be aware. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, you know, just to not worry about anything other than learning, right? And we're always focusing on the learning. We aren't worried about the problems. They will take care of themselves. You'll see what I mean. I realize they're there and they'll come up organically and we'll deal with them. But because of the way the program works, it's never a fixation. It's always a very smooth, integral way, right? So it's very, very, very cool. It's a really excellent mechanism, right?
Yeah.
It's very cool stuff. It's very cool stuff. All right. So I've been talking my ass off, and I actually don't like to talk so much, but it's so much information that I have to share. And that was asked with an R, by the way. So I do say it that way as well. Anyway, so please ask away, Jonathan. Ask away. Ask what you'd like to know.
I just basically wanted to, if I get questions or I have, if I don't understand something, what's the best way of approaching that? Just to talk to you directly or to
absolutely, yeah, because originally I set up the group where it was only just for the participants, and then the idea was to share it and we can ask them cross-pollinate. But it's now involves the participants in the members of the group. They have no clue, they don't even know where the everybody exists really. So yeah, just let me know directly. You can text me or just wait for the Zoom session. As soon as we've done a couple of Zoom sessions, the first couple were, but adjusting and plus minusing, and it will soon become really obvious. So please, there's no right or wrong way to do this, and there's no particular speed either. And that's what I want to emphasize, right? Some of the stuff is really intense. There's been like lately, for instance, and Erica, who I was mentioning, she was the first participant to do the program the way I intended it to be done, right? And now she's doing our Mourners project, which is a follow-up project. I mean, literally, we spent the whole 2 hours on like just 1 or 2 slides. And it happened with Cheryl in the start of her. She just started as well. Same thing, session in the whole online session in one Zoom session. There's no pace. It all depends on appropriateness. That's it. I'm not interested in you getting through the program. That's not my objective. My objective is for you to get to a position where real, actual, lasting self-change and life change has taken place. Lasting, sorry, see, I'm getting Americanized already. Real, actual, lasting self-change and life change takes place, right? So I don't care how long it takes. The point is that it's done appropriately, right? So don't rush. Do as much or as little as is appropriate, okay? And this is another point I absolutely want to emphasize. When you are going through the online program, don't think you've got to get to the end. No, take it slide by slide. When your energy starts to dip, right? When your energy starts to dip, then stop. And only start when you are in a good spot with your energy. When you're motivated, you're enthusiastic, right? The moment that energy stops, drops, stop. Because we are looking to associate doing the program with something that's joyful, that's fun, that's exciting, that you're eager for, right? So don't overdo it. The moment, like I said, that starts to stop. That's it. It's very important. So we have that association of the positive energy and mindset with it. It's a very simple thing, but you'll see after a while, you'll just love doing this because it's always only associated with positivity. I've trained people out to write doing this as well, who hated writing. I did it to myself. I'm a ridiculously prolific writer. I mean, I've written like millions of words in a year, literally. I'm not exaggerating and I hated writing. I never wrote most of my life. And simply through using this simple technique of association management, as it would come to be in the Dictionary of Power, I learned to love it. And now I can just write anytime and it's not a problem. It's easy, it's fluid, it's fun, right? So very powerful thing. One of these inadvertent ways of learning and change that we are going to do. Absolutely going to leverage emphasis, right? And association. It's very powerful, very powerful. Like I said, very sophisticated program. All right. So I don't know how much time you have now. I feel rather come on tomorrow sometime when you come on. Message me and then I'll show you all about the moderating in the group. I don't have the energy right now. This is the end of the day for me almost. So I'm just a little bit out of steam for going into all the detail of showing you the details of moderating in the group. I want to say one other thing, Jonathan. Is another way you can greatly facilitate matters. now. And that is, and I don't expect this now, but later on, I forget always later on. And that is to refer somebody to the program the way Sure did, right? Now, there's not going to be much in it for Sure now, because it only really applies if somebody pays full price for the program. But if somebody pays full price for the program, I'm very generous in the commission that I share. You know, in the case now with you, I don't have anything to spare, so sorry, Sure, I can't really help you out much there. I will send her something, you know, but it's not much I can do, unfortunately. But still,
Yeah.
just know that this is another way. But this only applies later when you know what the program's about. And because, like you see, this is something that's very intimate. You know, it's not something I can sell. You know, it's a very particular thing. So, yeah, I mean, if I didn't like you, sorry, I'd definitely find a way to decline. And just know that, right? Yeah, yeah. You know, I listen very carefully to earnestness and earnest sincerity and an earnest desire to learn. And underneath earnestness, I listen to the intent to goodness, which I absolutely hear from you. Yes. To me, it's very clear and very obvious. And I have real skills here. You know, I'm not just saying this is a surface thing. I've tested and applied this many, many times. So I'm prepared to put money on it, which I am, or time and energy. Yeah. So otherwise, I wouldn't do it. And this is very important. Now, as we go through too, I am keen to hear about where you're at, what's going on with you, where you're at in your life, but little by little. Yeah, it's not important to me now. That stuff will surface organically. But I'm just mentioning it now because you might go and say, wow, he didn't ask me anything about where I'm at, my background, what am I doing? You said mental health. It's not that I'm not interested. I don't want to focus on it. I don't want to inappropriately emphasize on that stuff. Yeah. It's not that I'm not interested. It will come when appropriate. It will come. It will come.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So sometime tomorrow, you know, up until this time, more or less, you know, I guess whatever, 10 hours before this time, let's see, from about 10, 12 o'clock your time, you know, if you see me on Facebook, then message me. You know, you can see when I'm active on Facebook. And then just let me know, hey, I'm here. Have you got time to come on Zoom? And tomorrow's a free day. So yeah, and then we can go over the moderation stuff. That'll help me a lot, Jonathan. And it will help you actually. So it's really cool. I mean, I want to mention something else. See, that's another reason why I agreed to take you on. Everything with me is multi-layers. It's never simple, right? So I'll pay attention to attunement. You being involved with the groups is a big part of this. When I thought, okay, you know, 400, I'm not really wildly keen to do that because look, it's not so much just about the money only. It's about the opportunity cost. If I take you on, it means I cannot take somebody else on in those slots, right? And I've only got 2 spots really in terms of time. So it's a big commitment for me. But when you said about the groups, and I started thinking about the groups, I said, hey, I do need somebody to help me. I had somebody who was helping me, but they had to do all their own stuff, so they can't anymore. So all right, and the fact that you were into it, it becomes a part of the program now. And this is very cool. It's very cool. So there's more to it. I'll explain to you next time or other time. There is a bit more to this also, but that's just the way these things work. This is the magic involved. It's very cool. It's very cool, Jonathan. Lots of exciting stuff.
Yeah.
It's always more, man. It's always more. So be sure to say thank you to Sure. Absolutely. Thank you for sending her. Feel free to share and you know tell her exactly what went on, and you know, so I will message her right now as well.
Okay, thank you. I will definitely get hold of you tomorrow to.
Okay, and yeah. Oh, so I'll send you an email with the link to log in and the username, the password. And then also for payments, I'll send you my Venmo link. I don't know if you use Venmo, but that's the simplest one that I know of. I don't know if it works internationally or not, but we'll figure it out, right? In order to send the payments. Have you used Venmo?
I haven't.
Oh, you have.
I will have to talk with my staff, support staff, because they control my money. So I will get them to help me with this.
Okay. Because you know, other than that, there's PayPal or there's some international version of PayPal. I forget what. Oh, it's called Zoom with an X, right? And these are, you know, they're the easiest way. Once you have it set up, you set it up on a on a monthly, on a recurring payment thing, and then you just have to do it once, and it's very simple. So, but Venmo is nice because there's no commissions on Venmo, so that helps me a little bit. So, but anyway, all right. So you speak to them and let me know, and then I'll work on signing you up and getting you connected to the program in the meantime. But yeah, so let me know as soon as you know about the payments, so that we can get that going, because that is kind of important.
Yeah.
I hate to be focused on money, but like I said, most of my clients are either discounted severely or pro bono, and I can't afford to do that anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, you touched me, man. You touched me. So all right, I go with it. I go. So, what can I do? Brilliant. All right. Speak to you tomorrow, Jonathan. Speak to you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure. All right. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night to you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was cool.